welcome to another version of Volusia County Issues. My name is Eddie Colosimo, otherwise known as Crazy Eddie. My guest this morning is Trish King, who is the founder of the Eli Foundation. Is that correct,
yes,
Trish?
all but the name. It's Trina.
Trina.
Trina, Trish, it all works.
Okay, I did that earlier this morning. This morning, Trina is going to give us some background and information about the Eli Foundation, why it was founded, how it was founded, and the reason behind it. Trina, would you like to give us, get started with it?
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me today. I really
it's my pleasure.
it.
Anything we can do to help.
Thank you. The Eli Foundation was began by a 15-year-old boy in October of 2007. And that time frame was very difficult in that it was the last 30 days of his life. He had had a second transplant, stem cell transplant, University of Minnesota, and that one didn't work. We were directed to go home and to allow him to pass at home with our family and friends. And 10 days before that, he wasn't thinking about that. He was thinking about how his life could make a difference and what he could do to help other people.
Now, tell folks exactly who is Eli.
Eli is my son.
And how old was he?
He made it to his 15th birthday. He was diagnosed with AML leukemia in Flint, Michigan, 30 days from his 11th birthday. And the journey was long, and it was amazing, bittersweet. And that day, 10 days before he passed, he asked me to get a pencil and paper so I could write down what he wanted me to do the rest of my life. And I basically just did what I was asked, and that's what I keep doing. And my husband is very supportive, and he's with me for everything that we do. And it's just quite a journey, the people that we meet and the opportunities that we have to help families going through the same thing that we did.
I've seen a few people here, even recently, who have been diagnosed with cancer. And it's amazing the attitude that some of these people take when they realize that their days are numbered. Instead of worrying about themselves, they step out to help other people. And it's very amazing. So what do you do with the Eli Foundation? Tell us some more about it.
The Eli Foundation has 3 arms of help. There's an emotional, spiritual base, a ministry, if you may. I travel and share with families, churches, hospice groups. I've done sales meetings for large corporations where they want to get their sales staff back to away from the look at me approach and go back to what can we do to make a difference. And that is a very big thing and very important to us to keep continuing to share what Eli wanted, which is to get back to the golden rule. In the speaking venues, I share about his story, his testimony, what things were like, what he went through, and what they're like now. And one of the blessings that we are finally at, the 3rd arm, is the financial grant program. And we began grant funding in September of last year. We did have a monsoon in Michigan. I know that doesn't seem possible, but our first annual golf outing was supposed to be 250 golfers, a double shotgun, had $40,000 worth of items for a live auction, and 3 bands, and unbelievable coverage with the media. And we literally had 16 people, and I think they were just friends and family who didn't want us to feel like it flopped, you know. But it was a wonderful day. I learned a lot along the way, and we have our 2nd annual coming up in Michigan this August. But the financial grant process is something that is short of amazing. There's not another organization in the world that does exactly what we do or is full service in meeting the emotional needs, providing medical advocacy for the families, staying on site with the families, as needed, if that's something that they would like, to get their head around it.
Yeah.
Working with their physicians so that after a doctor tells a family something, even that first week or so is very hard to get your head around. And there have been times when after a doctor walks out of a room, a mom or dad will look at me and say, "What did they just say?" And so I try to put it in mom terms, in parent terms, and explain it, and just be there as the questions come. And the financial grant is up to $2,000 a month to replace the loss of income for a mother or father. It can be a single parent, it can be a married family that needs the support financially so that they can stay with their child at their bedside during the whole 5 months of treatment for AML. They are not missing anything, new memories to be made or an appointment that needs to be gone to. And that financial assistance is unbelievable, and that's $2,000 every month for the 5 months. When they take their family medical leave for the 3 months that they're entitled to, so their job position stays and that's not affected, we are actually supporting them financially, because when you take that medical leave, it's without pay.
So in a manner of speaking, you're doing something like the Ronald McDonald House. You're keeping families together during treatment, but they're not limited to that one location.
Correct. The Ronald McDonald House is a place I'm very familiar with and our hearts are very close to. We lived in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. We lived in their Ronald McDonald House for our first time at transplant. Was 295 days. The second was just short of 3 months, not as long as we would have liked.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing facility. And yes, they are supporting families emotionally and helping them in a way that allows them to use their finances where they're needed. And yes, in part we are doing something very similar. We're helping them financially so that everything around them doesn't fall apart.
Right.
While they're doing the most difficult thing they will ever be asked to do in their life, and that is to support their child that has a terminal illness.
So
Potentially terminal.
And you travel all over the country.
Yes, anywhere in the United States where there's a children's hospital that treats pediatric leukemia, I will go.
Now, you were saying before that we started this morning that this is normally an adult
Yes.
form of cancer,
Yes.
but more and more children are getting it nowadays.
Yes, it's not to alert the media that we have this new thing. It's been growing. AML is 25 to 50-year-old adults primarily, and when Eli was diagnosed, only 2% of our children in the world were getting AML. And last I heard, it was somewhere in between 5 to 7%.
Is there any explanation for the increase?
There's never an answer. I'm not a doctor, definitely not an environmentalist, but from the little bit that I've gained information about AML, the first answer is we have no idea what causes it, we can't pinpoint it, and then there are two things that they said there is proof that it's related to the onset of AML leukemia, and that is being in and around a construction site, and also being exposed to benzene, to petroleum gas. I'm not sure about all that. I don't understand all the details, but those are the two things that are actually have been mentioned.
So then children are being more exposed to these chemicals?
Eli wasn't, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
When I've talked to other parents, when they are diagnosed and you're seeing, so how did this happen? You know, that's the first thought, you start running through your mind, what did we do? And you didn't do anything. And, I have yet to meet a family whose child was actually exposed to those two elements.
So we really have no idea
It goes
really
back to the first answer.
Yeah, exactly what's causing the increase.
Yes, unfortunately. We know that we need to help them get through it, regardless of the outcome after treatment, and the increase that has happened in the recovery process is much higher than it was. When Eli was diagnosed, it was 20% or less chance of mortality through the 5 months of treatment for a child.
Wow.
Which is higher than adults. Children are more resilient, and they go through it much easier. Their bodies haven't been battered and worn as our adult bodies have. But now it's actually, I believe, over 30% for the chance of recovery and making it through that 5-month period.
And how do you raise your funds to fund this?
The speaking engagements at different churches. In 2008, we did a 6-month speaking tour. We began in Michigan, went to Tennessee, traveled a good amount of Florida, back to Michigan, and it was about a 6-month process. And that was where we began, and that was sharing his message of hope and strength and perseverance. That message is not age-specific or department-related. That's anywhere in the world that someone has ears to hear about, drawing from a strength that's greater than your own. Because I can tell you right now, I'm 100% positive that that Wonder Woman cape I had, and it left on August 20th, 2003, when I actually realized, even though I relied on God's strength and I talked to him about everything, I felt as close to him as I'd ever been, my strength was gone that day when they told me that Eli had a 20% chance to live through the next 5 months. I didn't have that ability. And so we try to encourage families to stay strong. My son said that the two most important things that he wanted families to be thinking about were back rubs and making new memories with the people you love. And I think at 15 he pretty much had it down.
Now, when I spoke to you before at the White Eagle, you had said that he was involved in a lot of sports.
Yes.
So he was very active. He was a very active boy.
Yes, he was actually the week he was diagnosed, just 9 days prior to diagnosis, he had just returned from Canada. He was chosen as one of 6 to represent the United States for junior golf for the Canusa Games. He had a wonderful time there. Found out later, of course, he had gotten tired and things, the symptoms that, I now know were attached to having leukemia, but I didn't know he had it. He was playing on 2 baseball teams, a travel and a local, practiced 2 or 3 times a week. I was waiting for him to, if he'd have said, I'm tired, I'd have said, well, it's about time, I'm tired. But he didn't, and it was quite a journey. And, when you mention sports, it draws me back to the Lake Fenton 5, which is what, brought the Eli's story and the selfless giving of 5 Lake Fenton High School seniors in Michigan to a national level, which was the first time for this to be done, and it's now being done around the country for children who are ill or underprivileged. I'm not sure what word to use, but if they're not doing well and there is a chance that this could be their last homecoming, they're doing what the Lake Fenton 5 did first, which is step down from homecoming court and crowned my son king in October of 2007. And a year later, they received a national award from the AT&T Sportsmanship Awards Sportsmanship Commission in St. Louis. And they received one of 9 awards given nationally to our youth for what's right about sports. And they received the award for kindness and compassion for what they did a year later. They didn't want it. They said, that's not why we did it. They almost didn't receive the award because they just felt nervous and didn't know what to do. But it was a wonderful thing. And I talked to one of the boys. I said, you need to do this because our world needs to see there's still great kids out there. And you did something that was selfless, which is what, we need to do this as a country, And it did begin something pretty amazing.
Well, this isn't the normal type of show that you can expect in Volusia County Issues. But the reason we're doing this show is because we need to get the word out. This can happen to anyone at any time.
Yes.
We need to be aware. We need to show that we care.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons